ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। ॐ सरस्वत्यै नमः। स्वतन्त्रा सर्वतन्त्रेषि दक्षिणामूर्तिरूपिणी सनकादिसमाराध्या शिवज्ञानप्रदायिनी अखण्डमण्डलाकारम् व्याप्तं येन चराचरम् तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ब्रह्मादिदेववन्द्याय सर्वलोकाश्रयाय ते दक्षिणामूर्तिरूपाय शंकराय नमः। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। Let us all take deep 5 breaths. I will say Om Shiva Shakti Om. Breathe in and breathe out slowly. Om Shiva Shakti Om. 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 I welcome you all to have a beautiful learning journey with Dakshinamurti. All of us started our journey together, starting from Saundarya Lahari. Shiva Shaktya Yukto Yadi Bhavati Shaktah Prabhavitum Nachet Devo Devo Nakala Kushala Spanditum. So in Saundarya Lahari, the primordial Adi Parashakti, Mahatripura Sundari, Lalitamba, is established as the one who is the whole manifestation, and she is Maharagni. So we saw the grandeur of Devi, how she is conducting the whole universe, and also the individuals. And next, we were able to see that Mahashakti as Shri Mata, all the 999 namas, and the last one, Lalitambika. Shri Mata all the way to Lalitambika, which both are representing Mata. So as a mother, she has led us to know, to be with her, enjoying her love, affection as mother. Now, as mother of all of us, she's holding our hand and taking us towards Shiva, the pure consciousness. As we are slow or hesitant to step along with her in understanding, she's telling us, don't be slow, don't be afraid. I am very much with you and within you as Atma, your Atma. Just sit quietly in front of Shiva, who is also sitting so quietly. So just sit in front of Shiva, because I love him a lot. I want to reside in him as Shakti, Atma Shakti of Shiva. So I'm there as Mata in you, as your own Atma. I'm there in Shiva as Atma Shakti in me. So let us all the three of us, be together. Just like Lord Shiva is silent. You will be learning a lot by silencing the mind, silencing the thoughts. Oh child, you will be able to enter into his arena, which is pure consciousness. And I call him Dakshinamurti. So we are going to start our journey with this ambience. Now, Shiva, Shakti, Vishnu are all the different names and forms of the one and only same Brahman. Nirakara, Nirguna, Sarvavyapi Brahman. But all these are different names and forms. Tantra Shastra, it is the contribution of Tantra Shastra that for pure consciousness as Shiva, pure energy as Shakti, the power of all pervasiveness as Vishnu. It is Tantra Shastra who has given the particular names and forms to all these abstract factors of the universe, which are reigning, which are holding the whole manifestation. When we Look at Dakshinamurti. He looks like Shiva. In Lalita Sahasranama, we see her as Dakshinamurti Rupini. Does it mean that Shiva and Shakti are different but interchangeable in their form? For that, in Saundarya Lahari, Shankaracharya has made it very, very clear. Shariram tvam shambhoho shashimihira vakshoruhayugam tavatmanam manye bhagavati namatmana managam. So, what we have to understand is Shakti and Shiva are both in equality. Both of them are there, they are present, but as one entity, as one form. How the quality of Shiva is equal to the quality of Shakti, and both of them together as one entity, Dakshinamurti. Shakti is forming, giving a form as Shiva, Dakshinamurti, and the Atma of Shiva is Shakti's Atma. That is what Saundarya Lahari is guiding us towards. Atma is also one. The entity as form is also one. So we can understand Dakshinamurti is to look at, he is like Shiva. But he has that Atma Shakti within himself. So this is Shiva Shakti as one and the same. One entity as Dakshinamurti. In Lalita Sahasranama, we also learned Vishnu, Krishna is the male form of Devi. And in Devi Bhagavatam also, Krishna says, Devi is my female form. In what way we can understand? That all pervasive, all pervading power is called Vishnu. That even Shiva has, even Shakti has. So there is that element also. What we see Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is Dakshinamurti. What we see Dakshinamurti is none other than Krishna of Bhagavad Gita, because both of them are having prajnana as the essential nature of it. So we have to understand Dakshinamurti is the symbol representation of the wholeness, complete. So this is one aspect which we have to understand. In Vedas, we have two modes of dharma. One is pravritti dharma, activity-oriented dharma, which Lord Sri Rama protected. Another is nivritti dharma. That dharma which is oriented towards withdrawal of the activities, knowing that Atma is not the agent of the activity. That is nivritti dharma. Lord Krishna protected both pravritti dharma and nivritti dharma. And Dakshinamurti guides the Jivatmas who always try to get into the activities and they cling on to it with attachment, with ignorance. That Pravritti Dharma should be balanced with the presence of Nivritti Dharma as well. I can give you the example. As Ishvara, he is balancing Pravritti Dharma and Nivritti Dharma in the body itself of the Jivatmas. When we are born, the body is small, and as it grows to the adulthood, naturally, smoothly, seamlessly, it gives up the balya and goes into pravritti. So, like that, Ishvara is having the balance, but Jivatma, because of the ignorance, moha, attachment is created, and thus we are not able to understand how to conduct ourselves in Nivritti Dharma. But that Dakshinamurti helps us by giving us the jnana, who I am, what I am, what this universe is. So we call him Ishvara, Adi Guru. That is the primordial first Guru. And he is Paraguru, residing as Atma in everyone. He is guiding us in Iha and Para knowledge. Adi Guru, because even if we are sitting in front of the best professor available in the world and listening to him, unless the Atma Guru, who is within, gives the green signal, the Anthakarana will not open up, the intellect will not catch what the professor is telling. So, it is the primordial Atma Guru, which is Dakshinamurti, is Adi, because it is he who gives us the knowledge first. Even for day-to-day actions, we need Adi Guru, who is very much within us as Dakshinamurti. Paraguru. And he is also Mauna Guru. By residing within each one of us as Atma, he is guiding us silently by just shedding the light of consciousness continuously. So, when I don't know who I am, naturally, I get involved in the world and I give value, attachment towards things which are Nashwara, which is very transient. And I will not be able to lead the life and evolve as a divine being. So for that, we need Dakshinamurti's grace. Dakshinamurti, how does he give us the knowledge? He gives the knowledge of Atma Jnana, the self-knowledge. What is that self? Sarvam apnoti iti Atma. That which pervades all is Atma. Tat Tvam Asi, that is what you are. You are that all-pervading Atma. That jnana he gives. So, it is very appropriate that we are making Dakshinamurti as Ishvara, the guiding Guru, who will take us beyond. And the name of Dakshinamurti can be understood, his nature, his guidance, his contribution towards an individual, how to evolve. Accordingly, the name can be understood and experienced. There is difference. It can be understood and it can be experienced as well. So what are the things? Dakshinamurti, the very first Dakshinamurti understanding is Brahma, while creating the whole universe, he created Manasaputras, the four Sanat Kumaras. Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana, Sanat Kumara. So, he created them for the creation and preservation of the whole universe in creating the next generations. But by nature, they were renunciates. They were interested in Atmajnana. So they started moving in the direction of north and started their penance. Being pleased, Shiva appeared as Dakshinamurti and facing them, that is south direction, he started imparting the knowledge of Atma, which is Brahma Vidya or Atma Vidya. Here, north direction represents, symbolizes Ishvara, Guru, knowledge, and Atma. So, it is highlighted in that direction. South represents the samsara, mrityu, and ignorance. Because he is facing Dakshina, Dakshinabhimukha. Yasya saha Dakshinamurti. So, because he is facing south direction, he is called, because he is facing the samsara, is addressing the samsara, he is called Dakshinamurti. Another meaning is Dakshina, means one who has the enlightened mind, enlightened intellect. That person perceives directly through the Jnana Chakshu the form, the truth of Shiva, the pure consciousness. So, Shiva is called Dakshinamurti, the form which is perceived directly by Dakshina, the enlightened intellect or mind. Another, Dakshina means Dakshinamurti being Anukula. He is favorable. He is disposed with compassion to all the devotees. So he is called Dakshinamurti. Dakshinamurti with the form. Another understanding is Dakshina Amurti. Dakshinamurti. Here, Dakshina means one who is capable, skillful to create, preserve, and annihilate. Srishti Sthiti Laya of the whole manifestation. He is capable of that. Dakshina. How? Amurti, without form. So, as Atma, all-pervading Atma, one who has the capacity to create, to preserve and annihilate the whole manifestation. That is pure consciousness, isn't it? It's all the gain of pure consciousness, which is accompanied by his own power. The pure consciousness power. That power is called Atma Shakti, which is Devi Lalitamba. So, according to the Upasana of the mantras on Dakshinamurti, whom I am describing, there are so many different various forms of Dakshinamurti. Which are they? Moola Dakshinamurti, Shuddha Dakshinamurti, Medha Dakshinamurti, Lakshmi Dakshinamurti, Vagisha Dakshinamurti, Yoga Dakshinamurti, Veena Dhara Dakshinamurti, Samba Dakshinamurti, Hamsa Dakshinamurti, Lakuta Dakshinamurti, Chidambara Dakshinamurti, Veera Vijaya Dakshinamurti, Kirti Dakshinamurti, Brahma Dakshinamurti, Shakti Dakshinamurti, Siddha Dakshinamurti, Sri Vidya Dakshinamurti, and many others. But among all, Medha Dakshinamurti is very popular, to whom we all owe a lot. So, what is that form? Medha Dakshinamurti, who is sitting under the Mayamaya illusory tree of samsara, surrounded by the 4 Sanat Kumaras as Rishis, and he is stepping on Apasmara, which is the demon of ignorance, which is present in every being. So this Medha Dakshinamurti is the one who is very popular among the Upasakas of Dakshinamurti. Again, we have to realize here, according to Tantra Shastra, which has contributed this form as the incarnation of Shiva, with having Shakti as the Atma Shakti within him, it symbolizes so many things. Each and every part of Dakshinamurti and the surrounding ambience is representation of the manifestation. How is it? He is having all the 5 elements, controlling all the 5 elements within himself. Like he is having the ether in the Damaru, ether. And then the air, it is the Jata. Jata represents the air. And then the fire he is holding. And Ganga on his head is also water, which is one of the elements. And the whole body is earth. Chandra represents the planets. Also, the waning and waxing of the time. And Surya represents the illuminance. all the illuminating, the illuminary bodies like the sun, stars. And he is wearing so many abharanas, the jewels. Those jewels are the rays of consciousness which is coming from within him. So those rays of consciousness which is just emitting from his body are giving different hues and which are so beautifully patterned that it looks like abharana, the jewels. So it is not that he is wearing something on him, all these jewels, but he is emitting the rays of consciousness from his body that it looks like jewels. And then he is wearing the tiger skin that represents the duality and the negative energy which he is holding. And here he is wearing, he is holding the Vedas as the book. And he's more than anything, he's holding the Jnana Mudra in his right hand, which represents the Tattva, Brahma Tattva, what it is. And then he is stepping on that Muyalaka or Apasmara, the demon of ignorance. He is pinned down under the foot. Rudrakshi, what he is wearing, represents the eternal presence of Atma without decaying. The seed always keeps going from generation to generation to generation. Seed. That is Rudrakshi. And the bhasma which he is wearing all over his body represents what the whole universe is. It is transient and it can be annihilated as ash. So, like this, there are many other forms. In another, he is holding the Amrita Kalasha. And the Damaru represents the creation. Ganga on him represents the preservation of the whole universe. Prana Shakti, that is. And then Agni, which he is holding, represents the annihilation, which is Laya. So, what we have to understand here is what we are seeing as Dakshinamurti sitting under the tree, which is Maya Maya, the illusory tree, which is created by Dakshinamurti as Atma, who is sitting at the right point of the root itself. So, the whole thing is a representation of the whole manifestation. In that way, we have to have the support, guidance of Saguna Brahma Dakshinamurti. Some people have the idea that Dakshinamurti is meant for sannyasins, not for samsarins. Dakshinamurti is the one who gives the Atma Jnana, which is too high, we can't understand anything. It is meant for only the realized persons. It is not so. It's not so. Dakshinamurti and the Atma Jnana which he is giving is like the air. Even the newborn, even the youth, even the person who is on the deathbed needs air to breathe. Isn't it? The very first action, a newborn baby, what does it do? The minute it comes out of the womb, the first thing is breathe in. Breathe in the air. That's what it does. And the last action of a human or any living being is breathe out. Is the last action. And in between, how many breaths we are taking. Without breathing, we can't live. In the same way, Atma Jnana is essential for everyone like the air. So, for us to evolve, even from first step to the second step to the third step, everyone needs that Atma Jnana. Everyone needs the grace of Dakshinamurti as Atma, who is present in every being. So, this Atma Jnana and Dakshinamurti, surrendering to Dakshinamurti is needed in every person. For a new Upasaka, Dakshinamurti clears up the path to go further in that direction of evolving as a divine being. For a realized soul, even he needs Dakshinamurti and his grace. He will be enjoying Dakshinamurti as the icing cream on the cake. So he will be having it as dessert because he knows, he has experienced. So he enjoys it again and again. So it is needed for all. Even for samsarins, we need it. And another concept is Dakshinamurti, means Shankaracharya Virachita Dakshinamurti Ashtaka, Vishwam Darpana Drishyamana Nagari. That, they think that is the only Dakshinamurti. So if we go directly to that Ashtaka, it is like building the 6th floor without building the foundation, the first floor, 2nd floor, 3rd floor, 4th floor. Will the 6th floor be able to withstand, or even can we build it like that? Never. Dakshinamurti as Saguna Brahma, in his form, he has so much to offer us as Upasakas to understand. Slowly open up and go in the direction while experiencing. That benefit we should not leave. So we have to build up the foundation, which is very strong, through experiential understanding, not intellectually understanding and then go and do the same routine as we are doing. No. All these stotras make such an impact on us that it changes our perspective of what I am, what this universe is. So that's another benefit of studying Dakshinamurti, different stotras, and then going to Ashtaka, which talks about the Nirakara Nirguna Parabrahman. So the study involves the gradual build-up through studying the stotras, which we all have. Then how to understand this Saguna Brahma, Dakshinamurti in his form when we are meditating on Dakshinamurti? Because you will have all these questions when we keep proceeding. So I'm trying to say it in the introduction itself. When we look at Dakshinamurti with a form during our meditation, he is Saguna Brahman. He is representing the whole manifestation, including the illusory tree and those 4 Sanat Kumaras and all other rishis who are sitting around him. They represent us, the Upasakas. So we have to make our mind surrender, and with silence, we have to sit just in front of him when we are contemplating and when we are meditating. So when we understand that Dakshinamurti is the whole manifestation, and when we understand the symbol of each and every part of Dakshinamurti, it is nothing but worshipping the whole universe, whole manifestation, which is Sarvam Brahmamayam. We understand what that injunction, Upanishadic injunction, Sarvam Brahmamayam is. That is making the mind expand. And as we keep visualizing the whole manifestation being represented in Dakshinamurti, naturally, that false I am the individual, will also annihilate in that Vishwa. No more I will be clinging on to I, the small built individual. That will become lesser and lesser and lesser, even when we are not meditating. Because when we are conceptualizing the whole universe in that Dakshinamurti, the meditation which we would have done, the contemplation which we would have done with certain amount of time will have the repercussion on the rest of the day. So naturally, our way of perceiving things around us will also change. This is one way. Another way is when we have that Saguna Brahman Dakshinamurti in our vision while meditating, contemplating, one should try to see, pierce through the form of Dakshinamurti, what it is, what is the essence of this Saguna Brahma Dakshinamurti. What is the essence? What is the reality which is hiding behind this form? So when the mind is able to pierce through, it makes us understand and feel the whole manifestation is not such a huge thing, but it is just a parda. It is just a veil. And you pierce through to see there is vastness, which is Sarvavyapi Atma. So then once we experience that beyond, when we pierce through to find out the essence of what Dakshinamurti form is, naturally the mind expands and we go beyond. And we will be experiencing that vastness without any form. So to go to that beyond, to pierce through, to see the essence of what Dakshinamurti is, you will have to have an idol, right? Or a photo or a vision in your mind when he's representing the whole manifestation. Only when you have something, then you can pierce through. If there is nothing, what are you piercing through? So that becomes, if I don't go through this, what I am thinking and what I am perceiving is like building the 6th floor without building the 1st floor. Will that stand? Is that reality? Is it possible? No. So once we have this strong foundation by surrendering to Dakshinamurti in form, it is possible to pierce through and go beyond. For that, we have the stotras, starting from Sutta Samhita, and we are so fortunate that Shankaracharya has described in detail what the Dakshinamurti is through his stotras, which we will study in detail so that we can enjoy, we can experience Dakshinamurti to our heart content. Okay? And it is Dakshinamurti, by giving the Atma Jnana, he makes us go from the level of Maya, clinging on to the name and form. Nama Rupa Prapancha. That is how we perceive everything in the manifestation, isn't it? We want the name. The minute we say a word, the picture of that comes in the mind. That picture is Rupa. Nama is the word. Rupa is the picture, vision, what we have, what we get the minute we hear the sound. That is transient and illusory. And we are living that. And Dakshinamurti, by giving us the Atma Jnana, he pulls us up to the other height where he shows Swarupa. Swarupa. What you are, the essential nature, who you are. Swarupa. So once I know my Swarupa, once I know my own form, what it is, Atma, naturally, I will be proceeding further to the other heights. And we are able to understand that all pervasive Atma is what I am. I am nothing but the awareness. I am that consciousness, which is very much the nature, essential nature. Satchit is the essential nature of Ishvara, Parama Atma. And once I'm having the experience of that, I naturally annihilate that I am different from Ishvara. Because he gives the knowledge of oneness, sameness, similarity between the Jivatma and Paramatma, which is Atma, the pure consciousness, the pure awareness. That's all what we are. Because we are clinging on to Nama and Rupa, because of the Maya, we are seeing everything diverse in so many forms. So, Prajnanam Brahma, that he makes us understand. Ayam Atma Brahma, this Atma, this soul is Brahma. Tattvam Asi, that's what you are. You are that Brahman. He teaches that as well to us. And first thing he says is Sarvam Brahmamayam. He gives that capacity to us. So now are you all charged to go into the Sutta Samhita, the very first one? This Dakshinamurti Upanishad and Sutta Samhita are the very first authentic resource on Dakshinamurti. In Sutta Samhita, it describes where Sutta Muni is conducting a Satra Yaga, which is for the well-being of the society and the Loka Kalyana. And it is happening in Naimisharanya, where all the sages and rishis, munis, all of them have gathered together for that yaga, Satra Yaga, just for the well-being of the whole society. So during the interval time, Sutta Maharshi, he was telling them, teaching them about Dakshinamurti. So all those instructions and the stories, what was told by Sutta Maharshi is called Sutta Samhita. And it is believed Adi Shankaracharya, before writing the commentary on Brahma Sutra, he studied Sutta Samhita and Dakshinamurti 18 times. So by this itself, we can understand how important this Sutta Samhita is and Dakshinamurti is. You might ask me the question, if that is the case, why can't we study the Sutta Samhita and why should we need a stotra or any other stotras on Dakshinamurti? My answer in my own way or in my language would be, when you have visited a friend, the host will be giving you superb coffee with the right taste and right temperature, right amount of sugar or no sugar according to your taste. But if you ask, give me coffee powder, water, and the stove, does it make any sense when you are having the ready-made coffee, which is filling the aroma everywhere in the house? You have to just accept it and drink it instantaneously, get the energy and the taste of it, the joy of it. So that is how the stotras are. It gives us the instant essence of what Dakshinamurti is. It takes us into Dakshinamurti at once. All these stotras have that capacity in them. So we have to enjoy the stotras which take us to different world, I would say. And one more thing I would like to tell all of you. I have been teaching this Dakshinamurti Saundara Lahari for many years, I would say. And what I have found is when we recite it slowly or sing it slowly, the effect of our recitation will be much, much more than just recite it fast and be done with it. So the impact of reciting will be much more when it is slow or when it is little musical. So over years, I have seen that people who wanted to learn music, but they could not learn, both men and women. But they had that liking to learn, but they haven't. So those people also started enjoying reciting this, knowing the meaning musically. And secondly, people who are not singers at all, even if you are very, very raw, I would say, it doesn't matter. Just start singing from the bottom of your heart. That bhavana is more important to experience and to go within the stotra. Even if you are out of shruti, out of tala, it doesn't matter. Just give your bhava and sing with happiness. And I have seen so many people who were so bad in the beginning, they are able to sing really well along with other people. And they all enjoy singing. So having this in mind, I always go for slow rendition or singing in tune. So each one of us have the potency of singing because music is the essential nature of everyone. It is there because we are born from nada. Nada is the bija, the seed of all beings. So we have it in us because we have not sung continuously or we have not practiced it. Maybe we are not able to sing it at once properly. It doesn't matter. Just sing from the bottom of your heart. Bhava is important. The feeling is important. So enjoy singing. And the tune is not very difficult. So you all can sing. And I hope you all will join me very soon to sing together, all of us. प्रलम्बितजटाबद्धम् चन्द्ररेखावतंसकम् नीलग्रीवं शरच्चन्द्रिकाभिः विराजितम् गोक्षीरधवलाकारम् चन्द्रबिम्बसमाननम् सुस्मितम् सुप्रसन्नं च स्वात्मतत्त्वैकसंस्थितम् गंगाधरं शिवं शान्तम् लसत्केयूरमण्डितम् सर्वाभरणसंयुक्तम् सर्वलक्षणसंयुतम् वीरासने समासीनम् वेदयज्ञोपवीतिनम् भस्मधाराभिरामम् नागाभरणभूषितम्. So, we have to visualize Dakshinamurti is in the North Himalaya Kailasa. And he is sitting under the lush banyan tree. At the roots, all the 4 Sanat Kumaras and many other Rishis and Nandi, who is the representation of Dharma, and he is also standing next to Shiva. And we are also given the chance to sit among all of them, and we are one with Dakshinamurti, who is sitting in Kailash. The present Mount Kailash is very rocky without any trees or anything. The shrubs of this height may be the most we can see green. But we have to know this Dakshinamurti Suta Samhita, when it is taking time, happening, at that time, the geography of Kailasa would be with lots of green and lots of trees, like the other Himalayan region which we see there, because that Himalaya was just rising up slowly. So it had the lush green. But now that it has risen up so much from the earth, there is not much greenery. So we have to go back to that Suta Samhita time to really enjoy this shloka, the stotra or mantra which transports us. Pralambita Jatabadham, one who has the long hair which is matted as jata. That Baddham, he has tied it up. Chandra Rekha and he is wearing that Ardha Chandra on the jata as the crown. Neela Grivam, his neck is blue with the hue of blue color. Sharat Chandrika Bihi Virajitam, and his form is glorified, it is shining by the Sharat Chandrika, that is in the moonlight during the autumn season. It says a lot. Pralambita, having the long hair, shows that something else is taking his attention, focus of existence itself. Further, jata, and it has become matted because it is unkempt, uncared, it is aloof. Pralambita jata. So that means the mind, his total focus is on something else. It is towards Vairaga. Does it mean that as a Vairagi he is just there? No. Baddham, he has tied it up as Mahayogi. So, Pralambita Jata Baddham shows how Dakshinamurti is Mahavairagi plus Mahayogi. Chandra Rekhavadamsakam, that Chandra which he is having is controlling the time fact, waning and waxing of time is also controlled. Neelagrivam, the blue hue, when you take it as the Puranic episode where he drank the poison coming out of the Kshira Samudra while churning, that is one thing. In Saundarya Lahari also we studied about it. When Kundalini rises up, she clears herself, purifies herself, and then she goes up. So, all the negativity or all ignorance is held back here, which is giving the hue of blue. So, he is Neelagriva. Sharat Chandrika Bihi Virajitam. So, during autumn, the moon is closer to earth and it is big, huge, and it is clear at that period. So, naturally, the light will be quite strong, which is making Dakshinamurti shine, glorified in that moonlight. Gokshira Dhavalakaram, one whose form is of the color white, white like the milk. And Dhavala, and it is crystal clear as well. The form is white as well as it is transparent as crystal clear. Chandra Bimba Samananam, and his face is emitting the smile and the calmness like Chandra. So his face is similar to the Chandra. Susmitam, slight smile is there on him, which is just coming out of the Atma, which is enjoying its own self. So it is emitting that smile, which is coming naturally. Suprasannam, Suprasanna. That means there is no any other emotions. He is just himself. So it looks like he is very happy, very calm. Suprasanna. Swatma Tattvaika Samsthitam, one who is well established. Samsthita, well established. Swa means his own. Atma Tattva, within his self. What can we understand by this? Sudha, milk, the cow milk, Gokshira, has that sattva guna in it, and it is nourishing, and which has that fluidity in it, and it is easily digestible as well, nourishing and easily digestible. Gokshira. That quality is there in Dakshinamurti as Saguna Brahma. Got it? So, Gokshira Akara means his body as Saguna Brahman, representing the whole manifestation, is making this Upasaka understand easily. He can become one with what he's trying to tell us. So he is not opening his mouth, just his body is teaching us, because it is Gokshira. Dhavalakaram, that doesn't mean that it is opaque. When it is opaque, that means it is a wall. Opaque cannot be pierced through. But Dakshinamurti has made himself so transparent, even though there are different colors around him. He has made himself transparent like Dhavala, crystal. See the combination, Gokshira and Dhavala. Because he is transparent. Here you should understand that transparency doesn't mean to see through the physical eyes, it is transparent. No, he has the body has the quality which can be pierced through, because he is Nirmala, he is pure. So the Upasaka's mind can pierce through him because he is transparent enough. One can go through. So he is representing that total sattva guna in him, which is white and crystal clear. Chandrabimba samananam, susmitam suprasannam cha. Being susmita, with slight smile, and suprasanna is because he is well established in his own self. Isn't it? We also ask people, oh, how are you? Kaise hai? Aram? We say, Aram means what? One can be Arama, relaxed, when the mind, intellect, and the Atma is aligned and it is concentrating, well established in Atma. So nothing is worrying, nothing is influencing. He is to himself. Swatma Tattvaika Samsthitam. So he's totally into that Atma Tattva. That is, he has gone within. He is in that meditative presence, because of which his face is looking like Chandrabimba. He is emitting that Susmita, the slight smile, and he looks suprasanna, very calm and pleasant. Gangadharam, Shivam Shantam. He is wearing Ganga, the water, cooling Ganga. Gangadharam. Shivam, he is auspicious. Shantam, he is very peaceful. Lasat Keyura Manditam. He is wearing very radiant armlets on his arms. Keyura. Sarvabharana Samyuktam. Not only the Keyuras, he is wearing all other Abharanas. Sarvalakshana Samyuktam. And he is bearing all signs, the marks on his body of goodness, auspiciousness. So, this describes how Dakshinamurti is a perfect preceptor, guru. One should have all these qualities to be a good preceptor, guru, so that the upasakas can imbibe directly just by his presence, just by looking at him. So Gangadhar, Shiva is the epitome of dhyana, isn't it? When you think of meditation, dhyana, it is Shiva who comes into the mind. Dhyana sakta. Tapas, tapana is burning. So when he is involved in that intense tapas, naturally the presence of Ganga is making him cool, calm, pleasant. That is why Shiva is Abhisheka Priya. Krishna is Alankara Priya. Here, Gangadharam, Shivam Shantam. So, Shiva has assumed the form as a preceptor because he is sitting in front of Upasakas, none other than the great Rishis and the 4 Sanat Kumaras who are already renunciates. So, he is well prepared by being Shivam Shantam and Lasat Keyura Manditam Sarvabharana Samyuktam, because he is very much well established in the Atma. He is emitting the consciousness which is taking different colors, but it is in a good pattern that it looks like as though there are ornaments on him. There is a big difference. In the temples, we put the abharanas on the idol. We also wear the jewels as an external object on us. But Shiva and Shakti, they have the capacity to emit the color in such a way that it looks like beautiful ornaments of different gems. So we have to visualize and experience the abharanas as the emission of consciousness, which we should be ready to receive it with the same intensity. Sarvalakshana Samyutam. He has all the good qualities, goodness, auspiciousness, which are all needed to be a very good preceptor. And he is maintaining that Ishwaratva. That is why he is Shiva, Shanta, Susmita, Suprasanna, Jatabadha. These are all the qualities of preceptor. So he is well prepared. Even in human teachers, we all as teachers, unless our mind and the intellect is in balance, we will not be able to come up with the right word, the right thought, the selection of the words, the sentences, and the way we want to present it. It will not be possible unless we are in balance. So one should be well established in the self so that whatever emits from will be good, auspicious. So Dakshinamurti is that. And Virasane Samasinam, one who is sitting in Virasana. Virasana is sitting comfortably on both the knees and the toes being on the ground. Or when one leg is stretched, another one is folded. That is also called Virasana. So in this asana, in this position, the body will be alert. It can sit for a very long time comfortably without knee pain or back pain. They have the good grip. At the same time, this Virasana makes a person being alert. So Virasana has so many positive benefits. And Dakshinamurti is sitting in that Virasana. That too Samasinam. He is well established in that Virasana, in which he is sitting. Veda Yajñopavitinam. Yajñopavita is that Punal, Janevu or Janivara. That is the constant reminder. Why do they wear the Punal? Because it is the constant reminder that he is involved in the ongoing yajna, nitya yajna, as the whole work of universe. So he has that responsibility to be part of that yajna. So the Yajñopavita is a reminder about the responsibilities what he holds. He has to do so many vidita karmas as well. For a Brahmana or whoever is wearing the Punal. So here Dakshinamurti is wearing the Vedas itself as Yajñopavita. Now can you imagine? Veda is the word of Ishvara, which is held down to as the encyclopedia of the whole manifestation. So he is having that Veda itself as Yajñopavita. So there is no way he can get away from that. He is very much established in that Vishwayajna, in which he is also taking part by giving the Atma Jnana to all the Jivatmas. Bhasmadarabhiramam. So, Bhasmabhidhara. Dhara means continuously it is flowing. He is blissful when he is given the shower of Bhasma continuously on him. Bhasmadara Abhiramam, one who is blissful, being given the shower of ash. What does it mean? Here, Bhasma offered to Shiva, Dakshinamurti, is of the ash of the burnt dead bodies, directly from the smashana. So what is the significance? Why is he wearing that? And why is he so happy about it? Bhasma of the dead body. That body is very precious because it is jointly created by Shiva Shakti, isn't it? Which we have studied both in Saundarya and Lalita Sahasranama. It is the joint effort of Shiva Shakti, and it has given room to the Atma to experience the world. And what tremendous experiences that body would have gone through. And that is burnt. And so, as respect, he is very fondly putting on as Abhisheka, Dhara. Another reason is when he knows the whole manifestation is just a Leela, the game, everything will come down as ash. It is just the ash, the final destination of the whole universe, manifested universe, is nothing but ash. So, as a reminder, again, he is having Bhasmadhara. And because of that great realization, great knowledge, he is taking that also as Leela. This is Bhasmadhara Bhirama. There is so much for us to learn. Which he is showing even without saying about it. There is so much to learn from just looking at him. Nagabharana Bhushitam. Nagabharana Bhushitam. He is having, holding, bearing the snakes as jewel on him. That means he is respecting the jiva. That is snake. And fondly he is having it as abharana on him. So I think we should stop it. Virasane samasenam veda yajñopavitinam bhasmadhara viramam tam nagabharana bhushitam. So he is the perfect preceptor who is leading us to become the divine being. Shiva Shakti, Shiva Shakti, Shiva Shakti Om. 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 Shiva Shakti, Shiva Shakti, Shiva Shakti Om.